All right, we're recording here, and then permission to post this after we're done recording.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
okay. So we have Gumbo here. You can see he is one of the actually you're like second or third one to migrate in, right? Since we announced a new kingdom. So you can see SV92 is our new alliance. It will be the new main alliance once we're all in. So you reached out for account coaching. This is interesting because you've been playing for what you said, like close to 6 years. So like
Yeah,
almost since the
about that
beginning, right?
point. Yeah, like January of 2019 or like December 2018, something like that.
Okay. And then you got in a pretty bad
For
car
KVK.
accident, so you had to take some time off. And then when you
Yeah,
came back, you acquired this account about 4 months ago. Okay.
yeah.
So I mean, I have some thoughts, but let me think. What's the best way to do this? Well, let's just kind of go over just some like general like why did you want to do this? Some questions you have, and then we could go from there.
I mean, to be honest, I always like to get feedback on different stuff, but I mean, I also like to support people in the community,
Right.
like that
Okay.
build. So I thought this was a really cool way to give back. And there's a few things I'm trying to figure out, like which direction to take the account, because
Okay.
it was a garrison for a while, and now I'm switching over to be in the field more.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and yeah, just like looking at this account, right? The ID is relatively old. It's funny enough, it's actually not even as old as how long you've been playing. If I was just gonna look at this account on first glance, we're like, okay, the KP is low on the lower side, especially relative to like the equipment that you have right now. Right, so I think it would make sense. This account was a rally garrison account that was in the D seed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's one of those where for people that don't really think about it, especially younger players, let's just say I build a set of full legendary, right? To get it to Awaken 5, never mind the amount of like blueprints I need to use, but you literally need to spend about like somewhere between 2 to 3x the amount of mats just to get that from crafted and then to Awaken 5, right? So when people start specializing and getting one set of equipment really, really good, there's a huge payoff as far as sacrificing for open field. And then obviously, as you know, if you're rally or garrison, especially garrison, a lot of times you just have your best set of equipment on a garrison commander in a flag or something, just waiting potentially get rallied, missing out on open fielding. So it's a very, very selfless role, and it's very common for rally garrison players to just have lower stats than, for example, like an open field counterpart, just because they're actually doing stuff that takes them off the field and also takes away from their open field effectiveness, just so they could help the kingdom out more. All right, now it sounds like you, according to you've built the equipment up a lot in the 4 months since you've got this. Um, Before I give any like feedback on what I thought, is there anything like you had questions about, just so I could kind of get an idea of what you're looking for?
yeah. I'm okay with like running 5 marches because I have the sixth and seventh gear are purple.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, I'm okay with like running five is cool with me. Like six will go up a little, but it's a bigger hospital.
yeah,
And honestly, like when you start swarming stuff, I fight in the front. So purple gear, like it's gonna ride. Like if it's Huo, like I ran Huo William last KVK, it
yeah,
always ends up on the other side, right? Or it
yeah,
just ends up too
yeah.
far and it just gets wrecked. So I'm considering just staying with five for now, and like I'm getting an iconic on the leadership set because I'm just waiting for KVK.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm debating if I want to finish maxing the infantry set because I only need like three wait one, two, three, six, seven more iconic levels, and then everything's at five and max.
Yeah.
And then if I want to credit or not,
Yeah.
or if I want to build a six set.
So okay. So is that the main one? Well, we'll see.
W
Go ahead.
the one on LC.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, is that the main question? Like, what other questions do you have? Because you said,
Yeah, that's the main one because I built the leadership because I have a lot of commanders max, so I could either like I can switch it up. Like if I want to run an
Yeah,
extra cav, I can throw Huo. If I want to run siege, I have Margaret Cordoba. And
yeah,
the other question is, do you think I should max Cordoba? He's at like 5511,
yeah.
uh, or if I should wait till the new Archer comes out? Because honestly, I'm pretty happy with Ash Nebu, but I might swap Ash Nebu out for YSG
Yeah.
because of the third relic. So that's another question.
Okay. So right now it's August 22nd, right? Maybe like 5 days ago, we found out what the Archer Garrison Commander, at least what like we heard about true damage. We don't know the exact stats, so that actually affects how good this commander is going to be. Uh, at this point, you should definitely wait to see what the new Archer is before you make that decision. Just because you're so close, like why not? Right? It could be like a
Yeah, I
week.
wasn't gonna do it immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it could be like a week or 2 weeks. Like it just makes no sense to jump the gun now. If you like, you could find out a lot more for sure in 2 weeks. In general, and actually, I just talked about this in my last mentoring video. If you were gonna backwards invest, the best time to backwards invest is when you actually get a sneak peek of what the next commander is gonna be, right? So, for example, when William Wallace came out, we still had like about a month, probably more actually, until he was actually released in game. Once you find out what the commander is, it's a lot safer to then, if you want to backwards invest and potentially skip the commander, it makes sense. But if you're like almost there, it like skipping, like investing in anything right now without knowing what the new Archer is, just doesn't make a lot of sense from a flexibility standpoint. Okay. So you said in your questionnaire you submitted $200 to $400 during the off season, right? So like a healthy mid spend. But then like during KVK, it seems like you go pretty crazy because you max tech all the pop ups, mining speed, the crystal quest, and the conqueror's will until you max it. Right. So
Yeah, I mean, if like that the spending is fluid. Like if I need stuff, like I'll do it. But like all my gear is pretty much done, and
yeah,
I have blueprints, so I just kind of threw a rough number out there for
yeah, yeah,
like just to have the gems up, like for materials.
yeah. So first thing I thought when I saw this equipment and then that you're max teching is that you need to go more marches, right? Because if you just buy the pop up, the crystal mine, and the first mountain warfare, technically you can actually unlock your sixth march by the very first fighting zone, which is zone 5 when pass 4 opens. Right. So like if you wanted to, you can actually always have 6 marches to field with in KVK based on your spending. Right. So if that's the case, uh, and your equipment is where it's at, to upgrade the current equipment further, you could like spend literally like a fraction of that, get way more stats, way more output, and put a 6 march out there. Honestly, if you're doing that for your tech, I think you should shoot for 7 marches. You know, I don't know. It doesn't seem like do you usually have like a problem with speeds or resources?
What'd you say?
Do you usually like run into a challenge or like a shortage of like speed or resources?
Nah, I usually like what you said. I usually get the 6 march before pass first pass. So
Yeah. So
I
like
usually
it just with your profile, it should be, you should be doing some marches. Now, do I recommend you do that like right now? No, right? Because your equipment's not there, whatever. But rather than like trying to get and I'll call it micro optimization because it really is, right? Like some of the stuff like to Awaken 5, it's good, but like it's literally to do Awaken 5, it costs you how much it normally costs you to just craft one set, like to craft the uh, uh, equipment anyways, right? And then okay, you might get like 2% more like damage ignored or something like that, right? It's a lot of math and a blueprint just to get like decent stats, but not nearly as good as just like running a full set of legendary with iconic on the field. Okay.
um the only reason I'm kind of considering it is because I had to push it there for Garrison, but I
Yeah.
also swarm a lot, so
Yeah.
those iconic tiers are good for swarming, but it only really helps one march.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of damage, so I don't know if
Yeah.
that changes anything.
Um. Well, I could be because you're in my kingdom now, right? We always use more rally gears, of course, like anything, any kingdom can. but like we're not in such like a bad place with Rally Garrison where I think you should do that at the expense of being stronger in the open field, right? Like for example, like you like this is obviously already more than good enough to be like a backup Garrison or even like Rally if we need it.
Oh, I don't want to garrison a rally. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just talking about from the swarming perspective.
yeah. Or
Because
like even swarming, right? But to get that a little bit better, like I think you having more marches in the field will actually contribute more overall, and it'll be more fun for you.
hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's fine. It's one of the I don't know if you ever experienced this. When, for example, you have 5 marches and someone else has 3, it could be 3 marches with better equipment, but you're just going to be pretty confident because like if your equipment's good enough, like your commander's good enough, like the higher amount of numbers is just going to win, right? And as you get more and more, like you actually literally the numbers advantage outweighs just the slightly higher quality, right? So like the only time where you wouldn't do that is okay, if your tech isn't, you're not pushing your tech that fast, so you probably would barely get to use your 7th march, you know, maybe for like a day or 2 in Kingsland anyways, then it makes no sense to have 7 marches. But if you're pushing tech like what you're doing now, not having 6 marches especially, but like even 7 marches is almost like a waste of the tech, you know, because like the whole reason is like you could get the techs really early, so like by the time like past 7 opens, you can actually run the 7 marches if you want, right? And then if you don't have some marches to run out there, you almost didn't have to push the tech as fast, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can usually get 7 by like zone 7 or like in between, but way before Kingsland. So
Yeah, yeah. So
down with that.
with that kind of tech, I would go for 7. Now what I would recommend if you're going to do 7 is like 222 and then siege, right?
Yeah.
For the second archer, because right now, right, it's almost everyone is running the 2 leadership set anyways. For the archer, like that's already there, kind of like there, and you critted your helm for archer also.
Yeah,
So
that
like
was just luck.
yeah, so if you just want to go like this leadership set for your second archer, you could do that, or like at the very like worst, maybe you're doing like a Milky Way and like a Hydra's Blast, just because you could get like health for the chest instead, and then you can get a lot more defense as opposed to, I think it's attack for the leadership weapon, right? So it's almost like, okay, now you have a leadership set and then you just need to build 2 pieces to actually make it a pretty good archer set if you wanted to go that route. I'm suggesting that, and obviously I'm personally running that. I'm running 2 of each, and then siege as my 7th march. I was very happy with it last KVK. It's really fun to use that. And the reason why I think you want that balance is because more often than not, and I think even right now you can make that case, like the 3rd troop type in the 3rd march of a troop type is going to be worse than the 2nd march of a troop type. And you could legit make a case that siege, like a siege march, if it was just like in a dueling context or like for a lot of scenarios, a siege is probably actually the best march on the field. But I like it. It almost it's kind of painful to admit it, but like nothing is out dueling a good siege march right now. You know, like even like
I
go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say I use them on my farms and they like crush, and they have like the blue and purple set. So
Yeah. It's kind of annoying actually, right? So it's
I
a
love
little
it.
it's a little more challenging to run siege and field, just because if your side is winning. And so basically the ball is moving like really fast, and especially if you're on enemy territory, the siege is kind of unuseful because if the ball's moving, right, your siege is going to get left exposed there on enemy territory, and then whatever march they have, like they see that, they're going to come out, they're going to try to swarm you down. So if you're running field and siege, there's going to be times where you won't be able to use the siege with the rest of your field marches. But like if you're doing 7 and like there's 1 siege and 6 field, I think that's the way to go. And you know, I don't know if I assume you know who Seawell is, right? And 960. Yeah, I think that's what he's running as well. And it's pretty. It's like to me, it's like pretty obvious why like your seventh march would be a siege, because now you literally have a different troop type where, uh, like you can train all of them at once. If you kill off the troop types, like it's a lot more balanced as far as like resource like management, and then also, for example, even in our KVK right now, Alliance Invictus, right? You could switch. There's like something called a curio where you could switch you put on a secondary commander. So I could literally run a siege in the cav march, and it'll convert the siege into a cav. Okay, convert the siege into cav units, right? So like rather than having 2-2-3 in the 3 of 1 troop type, like I just don't see a strong case that people can make where you were going to run like XY belly or something over Cordoba and whichever other like siege commander you choose, right? Well, what's the third infantry going to be, or what's the third archer going to be? The drop off is just so big. I know there's people that are resistant to it, but it, I I don't see how anyone can like really in good faith understanding the mechanics of the game, understanding siege, and be like, no, you should do XY belly over a siege march for your seventh march. You know,
Yeah,
maybe I'm biased, but yeah, but you should definitely have more than 5, and you should not like. I get you want to just get to Awaken 5, but if you want to just talk about like maximizing your account, its performance, I think going at least one extra march would help a lot more.
yeah. That's why I did the leadership set
Yeah,
because I've ran it. So I like did a duel with somebody else that had uh the siege set, not the legendary, but the epic. And
yeah,
I had like at the time it was like 5111
yeah,
and 5111, and this gear without I didn't even have the weapon at the time, but it outperformed it. So it was like I could use it. So like if I were to go 7, I could just push that aside. I could forge another archer and another cav, right? Do
yeah.
222. And then if we're at a place where I could use the siege, I could just use this gear. And if we're not able to do that, I can field a third cav or infantry or
Yeah,
archer.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I can
I would actually have a dedicated siege march, because if you look at the stats, the leadership stats are a little bit lower than the infantry archer calf stats, right? And then the siege stats are noticeably more than the infantry archer and calf stats. So I think there's a pretty
yeah.
big drop off between
Oh, right.
leadership gear and siege equipment. So I think
You're talking legendary, right?
legendary, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so like
Yeah, I know.
I
I'm
would
doing
actually
that.
flex this to be your second archer set, and then potentially also if you did want to run 3 of a troop type, you could flex it to infantry or calves, or else just keep it as your second archer set. And I think that would actually probably be the better way to go. I haven't used a siege last KVK. I had a 5511 Cordoba. I mean a 5511 Margaret, and then like Cordoba ended up being like 55, what, like 53 or something at the end. And then I
Right.
ran all crit epic with 2 legendary. The legendary was the pants and the boots, just because the epic version didn't give you march speed, but the legendary did, and you get the 2-piece bonus. Um, it did well when it wasn't targeted, obviously, right? But I would say it definitely, like I'm expecting to do way better this KVK. I'm gonna max Cordoba. I'm still gonna run 5511 Margaret, and I'm planning on actually running 4 legendary pieces for the siege equipment. So you get the 4-piece set bonus, a little bit more stats. I don't even have enough iconic crystals to put on any of them, but just like expertise in Cordoba and then getting 2 more legendary, I expected to do a lot better. Like it was good, but it wasn't like dominating. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so like if you're running full leadership, because I know the stats are, without like looking at it, I think it's probably about comparable to the epic, like crit. Maybe
Yeah,
we're
it
less,
is.
yeah, maybe
It,
we're less march
it's
speed.
14, yeah, it's 14, 14, 14, and then there's like health and defense, and then like skill damage resistance on there. But the biggest thing I noticed when I tried with the epic was the iconic stats were kind of what helped it perform. But I
Yeah,
was planning on possibly like that's why I want to talk to you about this was um, I haven't used Siege in the KVK yet,
yeah,
like on this account. And so like I'm just kind of waiting. And if it's really good, I wanted to actually build that set next.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to fully commit to it and then it not be good. You know what I mean? Like I know it's good, but it's different once you see it. You know what
It's
I mean?
yeah, it's good and it's really fun. It's just like the only downside is if you want to run it with field marches, uh, it becomes really hard to like control both if the ball is moving too fast on enemy territory. If you're on your own
Yeah.
territory, like you have more than enough time to like camp it behind like a city, keep it relatively safe, and just like for like just kind of leave it on auto fire. But if you're winning, it
Yeah.
becomes a lot more challenging, right? If you're just managing two siege marches, you can actually be on enemy territory. You can be a lot more aware of that. You don't have to, like it becomes a lot easier. But trying to control both, I think it's a little bit too challenging. We just had like that shifting gears, like YouTube content creator match maybe about a month ago, right? And a lot of the content creators actually were using essentially like Siege for the first time, and I think they got a taste of what it's like to to control field and siege, and then the shifting gears in there that wasn't stationary. It would actually move back and forth. It made it too hard to control. Like I actually maybe 30 minutes in decided to just switch to in there it was this like type of siege called artillery where it didn't move. It actually made it way easier to control siege or range when it didn't move with field marches. Because if it's moving and the field march has to moving it closer, it was really hard to control. Okay, so like if I were you looking at this, if I was actually going to craft the next set, I would actually craft a calf set. Um, I think the
Cool.
second best troop type, the second best march of the troop type, right? The cavalry is the best. I would take now. Me personally, I think a belly for a murder ball is better than Hoa, right? A lot of people are upset about me saying that, but if you're running 5 marches or more and you had to choose between Hoa or belly, I personally would take belly. I mean, I made videos about this. So I'm not gonna like, but regardless, whether you're running Hoa or uh, belly, uh, the second best cap march, I think, is better than the second best infantry march and better than the second best archer march right now. Right, so if you're gonna run two, is siege or cav? I would actually go cav, and probably by the time you're done with that, Margaret will be available in the dailies. You could just max Cordoba anyways because he's gonna stick around, and then uh, the next engineering commander should come out after that.
Yeah. How do you think that engineering meta is going to change? Because I mean, like I've heard like mixed opinions on it. Like I heard some people say it's so good now that if you just invest in this one march, that the chances of you that you won't have to keep doing it. Like if you want the best infantry, or you have to keep getting the new commander. I mean, not always, because Wallace is a disappointment, I think. But
Oh, how
um,
do I think the new
just they,
engineering? Do I think like Margaret or Gajamada? How close do they be to the new engineering commander?
yeah, yeah. Like if I would be running
Um,
Margaret Cordova,
Well, let's talk about Margaret and Gajamada first. Okay, so if you look at their kit, Gajamada expertise I think is better than Margaret, especially paired with Cordova. Right, you get two smite commanders. He's tankier. I think even has like a better like healing, which is super important for siege. I think Gajamada is better. Part of the reason why I decided to go with Margaret is because I only plan on getting Margaret to 5511. If you're talking about both commanders at 5511, I thought Margaret was better. And also, the feedback I got from Mr. Siege was that Margaret, that March just did more damage. All right. Now, but if you look at reports, the Gajamada one is going to trade a lot better just because like he's way tankier. I think he has like, I want to say he has better healing. And then over time, if you could keep your health higher and your way tankier, the ratio of your trades is going to be a lot better. So, um, Margaret also came out in March of 23, right? So like today, literally after the patch, Jan Ziska and Joan just came out in the dailies, right? So after that, what do you like? What are you expecting, right? Is it going to be like Hera? Is it going to be Margaret? Bobbers, right? Like you would expect those commanders to be available in the dailies relatively soon. So like Cordova, I think is like a that's definitely a max because he's gonna regardless he's gonna make it through the next engineering cycle. And then what you're talking about is whether Margaret or Gajimata is going to get replaced after this Archer cycle. Right. I think if you go Cavs, by the time you're really making that decision, at the very least, you could just work on Margaret in the dailies, and then when the new engineering commander comes out, uh, if you're ahead on gold heads and he or she is good enough, then maybe you can invest in them. If not, then you can just finish Margaret with the dailies, and you can have Cordoba max, and that kind of will like allow you to still stay like have a really good competitive engineering march without necessarily like draining your gold heads if you're not far enough ahead. Because your Hua is maxed, right?
No, he's 5.551
Okay,
right now.
and then your William is also 5551.
No, he's expertise.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, you're already
I
pretty
could
much
max both if I need, but I
yeah.
just didn't want to waste the
Yeah
gold
you
heads.
you already pretty much have like the commanders ready to go, right? You just need the equipment. I don't know how you're doing on blueprints
Yeah.
and mats, but
Oh, I'm
like
good on blueprints. It's mats. That's the problem.
okay, but yeah, like getting a
Yeah.
six march out there, especially like if it's gonna be like a whole William, right? Since that's already ready made, would make a huge difference for you. Like it'll be way like open fielding. It'll be a way bigger difference than getting your primary infantry set to 5, especially because the accessories are so expensive to awaken 5 too.
Yeah.
You know, now if you're focusing on rally garrison, that would be a different story. But just because I know like in our kingdom, I don't think
Yeah.
like we're we need you to do it. Like if you really want to, like that'd be great. But
Nah, I'll pass.
I
I
think
mean, I'll do it if you need a backup.
yeah, I think pushing that onto someone is kind of unfair. So
Yeah.
that's what I would go for the marches, and then equipment, right? And then equipment, I think you already know the order. First, first legendary should be the boots for the cabs, and then the second one would actually be the Pride of the Khan. If you skip the purple and you just stick with the blue helm, because that's also defense. And the third one is actually upgrading the chest, because the chest, the epic is defense, and then when you go to legendary, it's going to be health, right? Okay, but I do want to actually talk about your armaments, because this is very interesting. Because you can see what I have on the screen here, right?
Yeah.
How do you not have any inscriptions on your calves?
I don't know. It just came like that.
Okay.
I have no idea. It's just unluck. I've like when they first when I first got it, I maxed that armament event like twice,
Yeah.
and just so unlucky. To be honest, I have some rerolls for like Hunter. This is gonna sound crazy, but I was actually considering rerolling Hunter to either put on Nevsky or ZL because Guanscaby just doesn't do enough damage. I think
Yeah.
it might be more effective on one of them.
Yeah. What
I
about
don't
your
think I'm gonna
arch?
do it.
Do you have an art? Do you have like a set of arch
Yeah, I have.
for like a second infantry set?
Yeah, I have two sets of arch, and the other one has like So this arch set that you see here,
Yeah.
the two rare inscriptions, I rerolled both of them 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the best I could get. I have other gear that's like triple stat with like some decent inscriptions, but when I tested it, it's like 8% more boost damage or a normal damage boost, and it performs better than the stats. So I
Yeah.
do have a really solid arch set.
Yeah. I would. Because
And I
like
have another infantry set of wedge too. That's
okay.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That actually isn't a bad call. I just don't, like it looks like at some point you're just gonna have to move that hunter over to something else, anyways. Just like whether
Not
you
gonna
want to
have
do
it
it,
on archers.
whether you want to do it earlier now or do it later. In general, though, I would say like just looking at the equipment compared to the armaments on the screen, the equipment is much further along than the armaments. right?
Yeah.
So in general, I've been like advocating for this. As more resources become available, or like you have the ability to reroll and things like that, like at this point in time, for armaments, in my opinion, you actually choose the armaments based on the inscriptions first, right? So even say like 6 months ago, something like guarded, right, which is over here on your Asher Nebu, I think it's when you take skill damage, well, there's like a basically there's a X% chance where like if you take skill damage, you can reduce it by like 20% or something like that, right? It's like a decent regular armament, but now that they put in rares and they give you a lot more ways to just get armaments, so you could get better ones. Uh, if I just pull a guarded, I actually, depending on how transmutation stone rich I am or not, and most people aren't, I actually wouldn't reroll that because there's so many ways to upgrade the inscriptions now. Where like if you start re-rolling it to get it like triple stat in a good place, just say it costs you 50 transmutation stones to do it, right? What if you pulled a double in that same slot, or what if you pulled a rare in that same slot? It's going to be better than guarded, and essentially now like if you could put that to your second set, or essentially you could have kind of like wasted it because the inscription's just better now and it has a higher upside, so you're going to go to the one with higher upside. So right now I think like if you're doing armaments, you should pull for the good inscription. So with the regular inscriptions, I think something like the ones that give you health, so like robust, hardy, what's the third one called? Robust, hardy, and is it vitality? I don't even know what it is. But anyways, it gives you 3.5 health. Something like breaker, or something like assertive that gives you 2% more all damage on the map. Those are the like three best ones. Then beyond that, it depends on the double inscriptions. But if you get two good doubles, it's going to be better than a rare. If it's not two good doubles, then the rare will probably be better. And then the special inscription is going to be the best, no matter how good the double is. That's usually the order, right? So rares now, depending again on how transmutation stone rich you are, I might not even re-roll it. But if it's like a good double or obviously a special, then I'm willing to actually like use my transmutation stones, use my transmutation crystals, get the triple stack, get that to a good place, and then move on. Just because if you're not doing it that way, there's a high potential where like you're going to spend a lot of transmutation stones on armament and then end up not using it down the road just because the inscription wasn't good enough. And then there's more and more ways to get good inscriptions now. Okay, but like right now for you, right, the thing like ideal is at least getting a armament every stat. I mean, a inscription in every armament, and like you have none on your cav. And the other ones, I'm not sure if you have any doubles or they're all single, but even like that second archer set, you only have 3 on there, right? So there's at least one armament slot where you don't have an inscription. So like the priority should actually be to get decent inscriptions on every slot, and then the ones that are like worth rolling, like so for example, like I like even keeled, I like the boiling blood. Defiant I think is like slightly overrated because I think you take like less normal damage or something like that, right? Is it good, like better than most of the other ones? Yes, but it's like there's not all of these rares are created equal, right? Like boiling blood is way better than Defiant in my opinion. So if you have like a boiling blood, is it worth rolling? Yes. If you have like a Defiant, when I roll it, I probably wouldn't, right? So that's actually where I would focus on, because you can actually get a huge boost to your overall stats if you spend some money on the armaments right now compared to even spending on equipment, because your equipment is like already way more than good enough, right? So like even you right now, you're like, okay, well, am I going to improve it a little bit here or there? Like you take that money that you're going to spend on blueprints or mats and you move it to armaments, you'll get a way bigger improvement in your account, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do the weekly thing too. I also forgot to mention this. The reason I think my skill damage set is not as good is because in my last kingdom, I was the main garrison, so I literally everything I buy was
You
going
just
into the
put an
normal
arch.
damage
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily that bad to run arch for even cav and archer. You know,
Yeah.
if you have enough where you could run it and it's better than the wedge counterpart right now, just run the arch because it still applies, right? Because the 5% normal damage is still benefiting you, whereas let's just say true damage becomes a thing, right? And then smite damage becomes like an infantry thing, and then let's just say combo attacks becomes like the next cav thing. You can literally have a scenario where wedge isn't really applicable to any of the newest commanders for any troop type, right? Whereas like you're not going to get that with arch because everyone's still going to be doing white damage, right? So like I've been actually telling people probably the last month, maybe two. I would personally, if I was starting where they were at now, they were coming out of KVK 2. I would actually tell them to just start pulling arch and skip wedge, just because you want to be able to quickly build up your armament set to a good place, and then the most universal one would be what, triple line and arch. But like not every troop type needs march speed. And then would you rather have 5% march speed or 5% normal attack? And then if you actually look at the specials and the rares, right, like the arch is just better. So it's not necessarily the best for every scenario, but it at least is applicable for every scenario. Whereas like our wedge at this point definitely isn't for smite. And you can actually see a path where it won't be for archer if true damage becomes more of a thing with archer, or combo damage becomes a thing with cabs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Sorry, I had you muted.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but like right now, like biggest thing for you is actually starting to, I would actually put, if it was me and I was like, okay, how do I improve this account? Getting another march, but then actually getting your armaments in a better place. And when I say better place, it just means like you have good inscriptions at least in every slot. And ideally it's like a rare or like a double or a special, and then you're starting to roll that into a triple stat. If you're a little further ahead in transmutation stones, you want to start cleaning it up, you can. But just know like there's a relatively high chance that like somewhere down the road where Lilith makes this even easier, you're gonna have to replace that, just because like I that's likely where it's gonna go, right? If they're gonna release more and more of these like formations like Delta and everything, I think it's very, very likely that at some point inscriptions that you get, you'll actually get an inscription and you're going to be able to select which armament type it goes on. Because if they don't do that, it just makes no sense to have these like niche formation types that no one's going to really invest all in to pull specials on, right? So like how are they going to make that work? It's probably going to be, you can select which formation type and then which slot it goes into, and that'll actually give it a lot more versatility. The second video I ever made on my YouTube channel, this is back like last December, was actually about that. And I thought at the time like that would be the best way to fix the armament system. And with what they're doing now and some of the stuff that I think they're actually going to go towards that route, it's just, just obviously like a little way later than I was suggesting it.
Yeah. The other option too, which I don't know, maybe you could tell me more about this. I'm always in the top 10 for KVK performance for like multiple things, either dead, healing, or so I think it's pretty easy to get an alt-arc.
Yeah.
Either that or we win a lot of KVKs,
Yeah.
And then that helps with a lot.
So what the kingdom you're at before, it was a B seed?
Yeah, we were CC'd. Well,
CC'd,
okay, so we we were like a high C, low B. So we got paired with like low A and B seed all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, well, that's actually kind of cool because I probably was going to cover this anyways. We're going to talk about this now, right? So part of the reason why we took you, or I was very intrigued by this, was because once I saw your equipment and the seating you were in, and then the reason why you stayed at the seating, it was very intriguing, right? So you stayed at CC for a while because you were playing with friends, right? And then knowing like kind of how that is, every KVK is kind of a crapshoot. Even if you did get like an even fight, the fight won't last nearly as long, just because you don't have enough players with enough resources to even fight that long, right? A lot of the kingdoms don't even fight using Discord. It's just a different kind of fighting. So when I saw this, what's up?
they wouldn't fight. Like the first fight, I would go out there and get like I always got like at least 30 million like the first pass opening, but I would go around swarming everything, and then like after a while, like if I would port in, they would just stop like the enemies, or they would go away. So like I every KVK, I was like I gotta get 100 mil this one, I gotta get 100 mil,
Yeah.
and then it would start off really great. I would even have to change my name throughout the KVK, but
Just
it
so they
just
don't
stopped
avoid
working.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah. So then, like, you send me some screenshots while you're like number one in like death, heals, and kills or something like that. Like, okay. And then the autar for this was like 63 mil, right? At least for this account. Uh, this is
Yeah.
an account for me where it's like, okay, we do the voice interview because if the guy knows what he's doing, we take him into like kind of the seeding we're playing at. You're gonna do like way higher stats, and it's just a function of like the competition level you're at before. Uh,
Yeah.
it actually means a lot to me that you stayed at the seeding you're at, especially with your spend and everything, because you could have moved up, right? But like there's like a degree of like loyalty, like wanting to like just like play with the friends and community. That I feel like is missing with a lot of like quote unquote top players now. They just hop from kingdom to kingdom. Uh, and I talked to you about like wanting to build a culture, build like to kind of grow into it. So like I actually expect like well you're not in our KVK now, right? But like when you do fight with us and like we're finding like say like a high A or like imp, uh
Yeah.
like to build I think will actually be pretty easy for you, But it
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be easy at all at the CC just because it was really hard. Now having said all
No, I
that,
gotta.
right? The downside with this is there is a percentage of people, I'm not saying it's you, where they're so used to just being able to just bully everybody. And then all of a sudden you move up in competition, you can't bully people anymore because your equipment isn't so much in your tech isn't so much better than like everyone else. There's at least enough people out there that are comparable. So it forces you to play a lot smarter. And then also,
Yes.
if you're used to getting like top 10 all the time, that might not be the case at a higher seating, right? Like if you watch like our KVK, there's a couple kingdoms that are probably higher spend than us. Now it remains to be seen how they perform overall, but when you have more players like that, it does become a little bit more challenging. So it's a
Yeah.
very long-winded way of saying, I think stat-wise, I think I think you'll be able to. I think you'll be able to do way better stat wise, but I don't think it'll be nearly as easy to do top 10. Could you do it? Of course, but it also
Maybe they have opportunity. You know what I mean? Like you don't just. It's not tied to just a win anymore. You know.
wait, say that last part again.
Oh, I just meant like there's the opportunity to win because
Yeah,
we took a lot of losses,
yeah,
but we took hard fights,
yeah,
and so like I've never been like I want to win. Like I just want to.
yeah. I think like even saw like the altar for this last KVK, you got like what's like 6 mil deads or something,
Yeah.
right? So
It's I.
probably,
So I.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably in deads you probably can get in deads too, but oh, there's some crazy people out there. With the amount of like the rate in which they're putting out the stats. I don't know. It
Yeah.
just depends on the KVK. But
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, yeah, like there is more of an opportunity to get at least like a shard, right? And if you get 3 KVK, you get 3 shards, and like even if you don't win, you can get it. But that's still 3 KVKs. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, but if you did pull an Artark, uh, I would actually still go wedge for you because you already have a destructive here. And it doesn't really make sense to have a second destructive right now. So I'll actually still do a hunter right now. But I would say like 6 March, and then once the 6 March is in a good place, go to the 7th March. Sounds like your commanders are way further along. Actually, no, you're already kind of like how far along is your uh, equipment for Cav? Do you have like a Cav set that's all epic?
Yeah. It's all epic except for I have the blue helmet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, actually, yeah. It's just you're actually already pretty much there for a 6 March, anyways.
Yeah, I
You,
just want to know if I should upgrade that to legendary
yeah, I
or if
would.
I should
Yeah, boots
max that. Yeah.
first. Boots first. The blue helm, I would actually just wait, and when you could get a Pride of the Con, put the Pride of the Con on there, and then if you don't have the Pride of the Con blueprint, then I would actually do the Cav chest next. and then from there it's probably Navarre's Control, then Ash of the Dawn, and then the weapon will be the last thing you upgrade.
Yeah, and I have the blueprints for everything, and I have a
Okay.
lot of the choice jets because like every egg event I max it. Like I don't mean to 100, I mean like
Oh, God.
184.
Okay.
Like I go past
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
yeah,
All right.
because the materials.
All right. Oh, I think you just need to be unleashed into a higher competition level,
Uh,
honestly.
I
Because
don't know about that.
didn't you have like wait? Did you have farms or no?
I do have them, but I don't really play on them
Okay.
like
Okay.
that. But
Okay.
I brought like three of them into
Okay.
92 just so we could do forts and
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, because like I remember just like even like talking with you the before we even did the voice interview. I'm like, dude, this guy's a monster. He just needs to be unleashed at a higher level, you know. And what's funny is
Yeah,
like,
I've played higher level.
huh?
I've played Imperium. I was in 1307
Yeah,
before my accident, and then I piloted in like a lot of the
yeah,
Imperium kingdoms.
yeah. What I'm saying is like if people just saw your account now, right? They're like, oh, they don't. I don't think they really fully appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
funny thing enough, when I was like ready to migrate, I
Yeah.
posted an ad on like Fleisch, and like within a day, I had like 80 kingdoms that hit me up.
Oh, really? Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I'm
and they were
glad.
cool. I liked a lot of them.
Well, yeah, well, I'm glad you ended up choosing us then.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, but yeah, the armaments is actually the biggest place for opportunity besides just getting that 6 March out there. You kind of have an idea what to do with armaments, or
yeah. I stopped pulling for Arch after I migrated out.
yeah,
I was funny enough pulling for V formation because I didn't have anything on that, and that's
yeah,
probably at a good spot. I have Echelon too for like Trajan Ethel if I
uh,
ever have to run it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
mostly in Canyon, right?
yeah. Man, okay, that's
The,
that's crazy. Yeah, for you, I would actually just pull a wedge because your arch is pretty much done, right? Like it's I
yeah,
guess you could get specials, whatever. I would actually pull wedge. You definitely want to get some inscriptions on that cav. And then like for example, like Tremor is not that good. Rebuff, I think is like counterattack damage.
yeah,
Um
they're not good.
like
They're
Phalanx, like
just what I had.
yeah, you get like a chance to get like a very small shield, which is like really good for Constantine and Canyon, but not that good for the open field, right? So like even the ones where you do have inscriptions, like those are ones you probably want to upgrade over. And uh I don't know if you like armaments because I actually like rolling and doing the probability and stuff, and it's actually kind of sad because there's not much for me to do now besides pulling like good doubles and specials. But you actually have a lot you can work on and get huge improvements on your armament set.
Yeah, I like the mathematics of it, but I don't like the probability. Like I like how the inscriptions give you a better advantage. It's random,
Yeah.
but I've gotten so unlucky. On my farms, I've actually pulled Hunter like
Oh my
twice.
god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think I pulled like three.
Yeah, I always joke around because I have 8 farms. I have one where I like do all the canyons, I do all the travels and everything, and then like a lot of
Yeah,
times when I'm like streaming, right, I'm just like literally going through my farms. And I always joke around that like one of my worst nightmares is that I pull a special inscription on my farm because every time on my farm and you're traveling and then like you get the cutscene for a for a legendary inscription. I'm like, oh, I mean a legendary armament. I'm like, oh god, like because I've never pulled a special before, right? And I actually I want to say I spent the most, but I spent a decent amount. Like I I spread out my spending to cover armaments when I needed work. I just never actually pulled a special. So um yeah, like if you pull it, you're pretty lucky. But yeah,
send
like
you
if you
a screenshot.
what's up?
You, I'm gonna send you a screenshot of the two inscriptions I pulled on my farm.
Oh, your Discord. Let me take a look.
I'm taking it right now.
Oh, okay. Jesus. So what? So okay. So you were in 1307. What made you decide to go play in the kingdom you're in now? Just like friends?
All right. You cut out. What did you say?
Oh, what you were in like 1307, right? What made you decide to go
Yeah, yeah.
play in the kingdom you're in now? Just like friends?
So 1307 fell apart. I just sent it to you too, by the way.
Yeah, I saw it.
1307
But
fell
this is on
apart
your
after the
farm?
loss. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. You can put
god.
that on screen if you want.
Here, I'll move it over. Oh
Yeah, it's Intrepid.
no.
And both are from pools.
This is on your farm.
Yeah, yeah. Six inscriptions,
That's crazy.
one rare, Intrepid, Hunter, and 30% stats. No, yeah. So it fell apart.
Yeah,
There was a kingdom that I played in. Like I did a restart
yeah,
one time, and just some friends of mine played it, and then they were in that kingdom, and so I went to play with them, and then
yeah,
they had like real life stuff happening. So I had another friend that ran a DC kingdom, and we migrated back to the DC, and actually I brought in a lot of people and like raised it up to like, well, now it's a B seed.
yeah,
So yeah, just a bunch of friends there, and but now all of them have kind of like, one had a baby, or he just had a baby.
yeah.
Another one has a baby on the way. The rest of them have started, businesses. So or most of them aren't really online. There's like a few of mine that I've told them to apply to see if they can get accepted.
Yeah. All right.
But
Yeah, we actually fought 1307. I think this is after they pretty much died. I think it was like last October or something like that in my old
yeah,
kingdom.
I was gone
Eh,
before that.
Yeah, and we're like, oh yeah, like they're not what they used to be. They were still stronger than us. We're just like a newer KVK 5 kingdom. But I remember hearing at the time like, oh yeah, this used to be like a really strong kingdom, but they're just like they're not what they
Yeah,
were before.
we were undefeated, but that was a problem because, like, when I was talking to you, the thing about culture, it's so important because if you build it on winning, like that kingdom just went to shit. I
Oh
thought
yeah.
1960, like, I was curious how they would respond, and it looks like they responded right. But yeah, there's not,
Uh,
you know,
I don't know, man. I honestly, with what I was hearing about 960, if they didn't win this last KVK, I think they would have been cooked, right? And then this last KVK, like that camp was pretty ridiculous. But I was actually really curious to see how 960 will respond if they actually lost two in a row. I wasn't necessarily rooting
yeah,
for it, but I don't think it would have been pretty. And I think we'll see what happens with 2429 right now. It's kind of a similar scenario, right? Like it was built where like a lot of people migrated in, they were winning, they lost a lot of people, which is really really taxing on the kingdom's culture. And then it brought in a lot of people, right? And then you have all these people that just came in. There's not necessarily chemistry or like they've gone through the ups and downs together, and they're fighting
yeah,
2377 again. So if they do end up losing again, I don't know what will actually happen to them. It'll be interesting to see. Right now, that KVK, I think it's far from decided. You can make a case for both sides, but it's really
yeah.
interesting to watch. Especially being a lot more interested in like kingdom building, culture, and all that stuff now.
Yeah, that's what ultimately made me go with you guys. I'm glad I did. A lot of people I know told me, like some people actually yesterday somebody found out I had migrated to you guys and they were like, "Yeah, you made a huge mistake. I warned you." And I'm just like, "All right, whatever." I mean, I don't
Yeah,
hate the person. I appreciate the advice, but I
yeah,
talk to you guys and it's just every day you guys got like voice going on. You guys are real close and
yeah.
I don't mind losing. KBK is like worst case scenario, like we don't win, but we have a fun time doing it.
Yeah. Well, I
So
want to win, right? Like it's not like, oh no, we're
yeah,
just happy we're losing, but it's yeah. I mean, I kind of tell
you know what
people
I mean, right?
this. Yeah, yeah. I tell people this like with how I want to say it's easy to recruit right now, like, but it's not hard, right? Like with the amount like we're recruiting we could do, with like all the negative recruiting out there going against us, right? From like 3 KVK losing streak, Kingdom's dying every other day. Peacemaker is like we're moving somewhere else. We're like, just all this stuff. Like it's if this is probably the hardest it's going to be to recruit. I think the future is really really bright. Um, so yeah. Anyways, but that's a different topic. Yeah. Bes- Besides that, and like anything specific I didn't cover because I know we didn't go over like commanders or anything. Asher Nebu is an interesting one because I think that's what Seawell recommends. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not sure why because if it was me, I would actually run Asher YSG. Right.
yeah.
So
That's that's what I was gonna ask you about. So I know why because I've used it. It's got March speed, so I can get there back, and then
Yeah.
there's like a damage bonus, and then there's like rage reduction. Like I think Alex is better with LC, but I mean I like the rage manipulation, even though like I
No,
know
no,
you're not
no,
a fan of
no, no.
it.
I was talking
I
about
love it.
Asher and Nebu.
Yeah, no, Nebu. I'm saying Nebu has the rage reduction,
Okay,
like
yeah,
100 rage,
yeah,
and it's like 50 chance to proc. So there's that, and
yeah,
there's extra damage, and there's March speed and AOE. But
yeah,
with YSG, he came out with like I have him already triple relic because I like
yeah,
archers.
yeah. I mean, you're taking like you're adding 62% skill damage. Like, does Nebu even add any? I don't think he does, right?
No, he doesn't have a skill damage boost, but he has like a 15% hull damage boost.
Okay. I can't say too much about it because like like Sewell is like an archer main, so he's a lot more knowledgeable with that. But like, if you just ask me off the cuff, I like Asher Nebu, Asher YSG. Like, no, I'll take YSG. Like, I would even like not run a horn and run like a 6.5% flag just to actually run Asher YSG over Asher Nebu. Like, if it was just me, but if someone that's really knowledgeable in archers recommend it, there's got to be a reason. I just
Yeah.
don't
Well,
know.
that was before the relic came up, so I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out if the 7% skill damage is enough to offset the speed. I mean, I guess it just kind of takes playing around with.
Yeah, because like the March speed one is not as important to me. Like a lot of times the argument against Asher is okay, well his March speed is only off alliance territory, right? But you get like 30+% of March speed when you're on territory, anyways. So like you'll even notice like you could have an infantry march when you're on alliance territory, you're retreating. It actually moves pretty fast, even with like no March speed, right? So you have an archer with 20% off territory, and then you potentially do like awaken 4 or 5, and then you put a flag on there. It's more than fast enough, in my opinion. The best way for me, if I was going to recommend it, I don't know if you know what the Cuba's Mike's reports manager is. A lot of time people will say like they think this is better or that is better. If you can actually run a reports manager, compare the two, like the data is just the data, right? And you could go off of that. But if you just ask me, I would have preferred Asher YSG, but I do know probably who's the person that's recognized as the most knowledgeable, especially archer player, recommends Asher Nebu. I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah, I have the reports manager.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't really been able to use it effectively because in my seating, I know how to fight
Yeah,
smarter, but I'm gonna be honest, in a C seat or like a low B,
yeah,
like you're just well tanking,
yeah, yeah.
and so you're not able to, So I'm excited to fight behind Peace and Panther.
No, I'm in a Panther. I don't think you're gonna be hiding behind Panther. Maybe
Oh
PTI or
no, no,
something.
he's gonna be he's gonna be the shield. They're gonna want to
Yeah,
target him. Him and bait. You just throw him as
yeah,
bait.
yeah. I just move, just march him in there, and then everyone will target him as like the distraction or something. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Peacemaker's fun to fight with. He's crazy. He literally just charges in, and depending on how big their ball is, sometimes you just see him charge in and people just scatter. It's actually kind of crazy to watch. Like it's just
Wow.
yeah. I, I remember it was this one night. I think I was like I think I was drunk or something. I wasn't playing. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm like, let me just see what's going on in the KVK, and it was Peacemaker by himself. He charged into like 30 people. It was like 30 people from like 1824 or 1900 or something in the last KVK. And it was like 7 against like 30, right? And he ended up sad facing a few of them, and obviously he got wiped out. But like by the time he got wiped out, every March that was left that was fighting him was at like yellow health. I'm like watching this. I was like, what the hell is this? Because I always said like I don't care how good someone is, like if there was like 2 of me against like 1 of someone else, and I have like 6 marches, right? I'm not gonna lose 12 marches to 7. But after watching that, I'm like, no, I think if there was 2 of me, he would still like destroy me. And that was like it was a kind of eye opening seeing that for the first time. So Yeah. But yeah.
Let me know.
Okay, yeah. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. I think that, I mean, you're knowledgeable in this game. Yeah, multiple, like 6 March, then 7th, and then get, really focus on armaments. I think you'll notice a big improvement there.
Do you think I should? What do you think I should do about this hunter? Do you think I should try to re-roll it and see if it gets anything better? I mean, I don't have to commit to locking anything in.
Uh,
It doesn't. And
what's your honestly? What's your second set of arch right now? It kind of depends
let
on
me
that.
let me go in there and
Okay.
see. It's like one thing I noticed is so I'm definitely for improving my VL
Uh huh.
because that one just gets me the most kills.
Yeah.
Even though my LC looks like that,
Hmm.
I track every KVK. I track the kills by commander.
Yeah.
The only difference was like 1 million kills in LC, and I used LC everywhere,
Yeah.
and I used him way more. So my ZL, I'm all for improving that.
Yeah.
Like even my gears, like that was gonna be my next project after the infantry.
Yeah.
Honestly, like whenever I do go to max that, I might even skip it and just do archer after I got all my marches ready. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going in right now to get a picture for you.
Okay. Yeah. I would. So I'll say this, right? If your arch is already, if your second arch set is already in a decent place, and then you're just anticipating, like you're gonna end up doing 2 arch for infantry anyways, then I'll reroll the hunter over. Actually, I will reroll the boiling blood into the defiant over to something else, and
Yeah, put that on ZL2. I'm down with.
yeah, or like right now, right? Because if you're rerolling it, um, you can
Yeah,
even leave it open for cav or archer because you literally don't even have an inscription on your cav. Okay, so this is your arch, second arch set.
yeah,
So
hold on. I
rerun
gave you
this
the
one.
wrong one.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it's close, but there's belly close instead, which is much better than onslaught.
okay. So this is this one with the bellicose and the fit, brutal, strike, and enduring.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then I also have one with and I have battle ready too on there. On that, so I have belly coast with triple stat, and then I have
okay,
battle ready that only has like 1.7
okay,
defense.
okay. Yeah. Eventually, you want to go with the battle ready. Battle ready is probably the best rare, um, as far as like how close it is to the special counterpart.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just sent it to you.
Okay. Yeah, well, I have it on the screen right now. You probably can't see it just because I was sharing the PDF.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, you could roll it over. Yeah, I would actually move the infantry, the one you have on the infantry, over to another one right now, whether it's cav or archer. Uh, yeah, because these like inscriptions are still good, right?
Yeah,
And you could just put the second arch on the second infantry.
yeah, because like I said, I would really love to improve the archer set first, but I mean, I would like to put hunter on that, just because I mean my ZL already does really well,
Yeah,
and I played on my farm. I mean, but it has the intrepid too,
I
but
know.
it just crushes.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, that ZL March will benefit the most from Hunter and Intrepid, because like the skill damage boost essentially takes all of the skill damage increase that's already there, and then it multiplies it by that percentage, right? So you're gonna get the
Yeah,
most. You're gonna get the most actually with the Nevsky March or one with YSG, but ZL and Herman both give 20%. So like 40% is like still really good, and you get the boost on that. It it it'll benefit from that more than anything else, just because it's also like double 5 target, well, double 5 target and 3 target AOE. So yeah,
yeah, I did the math on it one day because like a lot of people think that hunter works like it reduces like you get that 5% boost no matter what. It's
yeah,
the damage boost, and I did the math on it, and it was like if I put it on Nevsky, it's like just like roughly napkin math, right? It was like 200 I think factor, and then
yeah,
if you put it on like ZL and it hits all targets, it was weirdly a little bit more damage factor. If that
y-
makes sense, just because
yeah,
you're hitting 5 people or
yeah,
more total damage.
Yeah, so I think that the hunter, right? The first part is just, it applies to everyone. The second part, if ZL's hitting 5 targets, it'll actually be a better
Go down to
improvement
2%.
than Nevsky. But let's just say ZL is hitting like 2 targets, right? The 2 targets do 2%. You would actually rather have the single target with the is it 10%?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So like it actually depends on how many targets you're hitting, but I mean in general though, like it's still just the best in slot, and
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that 5% boost though is what's really powerful, right?
yeah,
Because didn't like Big Kane say and Sivo say something about like it actually is multiplicative or whatever
yeah. It's multiplicative,
of
right?
damage.
So like for example, the ZL and the Herman, they both give you a 20% skill damage increase, right? So it's additive. So if you're at 100%, you get 20%. You add another 20%, you're at 140%. But if you're taking 20% and then you're doing it by the 20% boost, which doesn't exist right now. But if you were, you're actually taking the 120 and then multiplying that by another 120%, right? Because 20% boost, it'll actually end up coming out to like 244, as opposed to wait, it will come out to 144 as opposed to 140, right? So like it just boost is just more powerful because
Yeah,
it takes everything and multiplies it by more. I might have done that math wrong,
cool, cool.
but
It's
you,
I know what
you
you
get the
mean.
idea what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually think you for sure by the time we get fight in our next KVK should have your 6 March out there. Um, Actually, let me
I
think.
mean, I could feel it now. I could feel it now. It's just it's.
Yeah.
I'm so used to fighting on the front that it's like it's just that march takes a lot of damage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like if you're, you said your Cordoba and your Margaret is at 5511.
What'd you say? You were
Your
breaking up.
your
Sorry.
Cordoba and your Margaret is at 5511.
Yeah, yeah. 5511
And then
each.
how many gold heads do you have left?
I think I just have like 45 because when I got the account, I maxed a lot of
Okay.
commanders. I had a lot.
Okay.
So
I
like I
was
don't have, but I generally go ahead.
So yeah, I would actually wait just to confirm what the new archer is. I suspect you'll probably end up skipping it. I think it'll probably be like one of those like in the range of Boudica, maybe a little bit better, but not like game breaking. And that's the case, right? You'll probably just skip it. Then I would actually max Hua and then max Cordoba as your next 2 commanders you max. And then just like, by the time we actually get fighting, you might actually be able to field 7 marches.
Yeah. Question on the range. So
Yeah.
since you've done it, so my thought process with them was, so I usually fight to sad face,
Yeah.
which I know is not the most effective way, but
Yeah.
it's faster, and I don't usually care about the
Yeah.
resources and the speeds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like health too. I care about damage. Give me as much all damage as possible.
Right.
But my idea on that is when I'm using it, when my marches are coming back, that's when I can move that march up, move it how it needs to go, and that it would also compensate in my overall trades. So like I
Mhm.
don't care about like individual reports, like oh I
Mhm.
mean I want to trade positive by the end of KVK, but if I take some really bad ones, I take
Right.
a bunch of really positive ones,
Right.
and so that should offset that, right? So it makes me a little bit more. I don't care about this fight. I don't care about this trade. Push it and then make up for it.
You just
Be
mean when
great.
you just
Wrong.
mean when you sad face the siege is still out there doing damage. So you're overall going to do more damage.
What'd you say? You're breaking up.
Is that what you're saying? Like, so if you're sad facing your field marches, but the siege is still out there firing away, you'll actually always have a march on the field that's doing damage, and you'll offset it. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
two parts. So like usually when like even if you're gonna refresh, right? Like
yeah,
when you go to refresh your march, like that's when I would think would be the ideal time to move that march. So like if you're advancing up and the march is
yeah.
there, but it's not hitting anything, once you're pulling back, like because I've played with it, it's not that hard to move it.
No,
You
it's
just can't
very
do it while you're fighting.
yeah, it's really easy actually. So the way I have it set up is whenever I bring out a siege march, it's gonna actually come out first, and then I just hotkey that to the one button, and then all my other field marches I'll hotkey to the button number 2. So essentially I have one button for the siege march, the other button is going to be for all the other field marches. And then for the siege, if you just like try to move it and it's already set up in a tower, it will take the 8 seconds to break it down, and then it'll move to the spot, right? So you can literally hotkey it over to the siege, click it over, and then hotkey back to your field marches and control it. It doesn't really take away too much from it. Where it gets hard is if you have to constantly switch back and forth, which, you know, I brought up that shifting gears one, like the shifters in there, which essentially like is a moving siege, didn't have to set up, right? So the siege would just keep constantly moving around depending on where the enemy is. So it was very easy for it to get out of like position, or if you're busy trying to put that into a good position, it's very easy for your field marches to get out of position. So if you have it hotkeyed to something different, right? Like you literally just need to click over, move it, and then click back, and it'll take its time to break down. And like you actually have more than enough time to like control both. It starts actually reminding me of something like StarCraft, or like a more like what are those strategy games called? Real-time strategy games, right? Where you're just managing a bunch of different things at once, but it actually makes it more fun. You can start doing some like real strategic stuff. Whereas my experience just running field marches only before was, okay, there's kind of like the line of scrimmage where you're fighting, right? And you want to just hover right around that line. You want to target the closest march that's out of position, but you don't want your marches to get out of position, and just back and forth. To me, there's not that much skill, but when you're actually bringing in even one siege march to control with your field march, the skill level goes up a lot more. And for me personally, it was a lot more fun fighting. It was a lot more like satisfying fighting, you know. And obviously with an extra march there, with an extra march there, you just have more output as well. So like, I don't know, like, you know, because that's one way to look at it. Okay, your siege will still be firing with other like marches, sad face, and marching back. Like you have more time still getting kills. Like yes, but just with more marches, you're just gonna have a lot more output regardless. You know?
Oh, I was sorry. I was just talking about, you know, how the big complaint about siege is that it's hard to manage it.
No,
I
it's
was
not.
asking if that's it. Yeah.
I don't think it is.
Move it.
No, I don't think it is.
Cool.
I think if you hotkey in that way, I don't think it is. Yeah.
Gotcha. The second part of that was, so what I'm hoping that the siege will do, and so you got experience, so hopefully you could tell me, when you're fighting for objectives a lot, and I tend to fight more towards the front.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take really bad trades, and I just kind of wanted to offset that a little bit, so I can get the most out of KVK, and the siege will help me do that, right?
Yeah, especially if you're doing T4, which I think most people running siege should do T4. T4s are slightly less in damage output, just based on the way the stats work, but a lot squishier, right? So like maybe like 70% as tanky, 65% as tanky, and then but doing like about 90% of the damage T5's doing. It matters a lot more for field marches, right? Because if you're running T4 versus T5, you're like, oh, this is really squishy. But for a T4 siege, you're doing almost as much damage anyways. It's so much cheaper to run siege, like T4 siege. So like even if you end up trading negative troop wise, you're going to trade really, really positive KP wise with T4. And I just think that it's a lot more beneficial, because like what do you really like? What are you really getting out of running T5? You do like 10% more damage, but like if you set it up right, you're not getting swarmed down. The only damage you're taking back is counterattack anyways, right? So does it matter if you're a lot squishier? Then like not really. Which is also why for siege, if you want to prioritize attack over health, you can make a much stronger case for it, because it just like your defensive capabilities just don't nearly matter as much for siege. Okay, you're getting swarmed down, you're going down anyways. If you're not, you're only taking counterattack damage back. It doesn't matter.
Oh, like low seed, I was running them and people just let it go.
Yeah, exactly. Just like it just keeps firing, right? And then like especially if you put it like across like a river or something and people can't get to you, and it's just getting free shots. It's pretty disgusting. You can tell people are really annoyed at it by it, and then sometimes they'll try to bring out their own siege, but they didn't actually invest in it and set it up. Then it's just this like makeshift siege that you could destroy yourself. It's actually super fun. I don't know if it'd be really fun if everyone was doing it, but there is enough of a barrier to entry, and then there's just a lot of skeptics out there that refuse to use it. That like it's actually really fun if you're doing it and they're not.
Yeah, you have to say pew pew when you do it.
Yeah, exactly. I would. They should make like a. They should make like an emoji where you could spam that. It would annoy people so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was everything I had to know. Is there anything else that you were curious about? Well,
Uh, no, I don't think so. I think like this account's already in like a real good place. I'm just excited to see it like unleashed with us. I
yeah, I
think
want more KP.
yeah, I think once like once like you get to start fighting and then like like the stats come out, people are like, oh man, like we're like like where I did not see this coming from Gumbo, right? Because people will just see like the count age and 5 KP, and they'll just be like, oh, it's whatever. They just sometimes like you have to dig a little bit deeper to really project and like evaluate this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad like 80 people messaged you and you decided to choose us though.
What'd you say?
I said I'm glad that 80 people messaged you after you posted your account and you decided to choose us.
Yeah. I was leaning towards like another option too because
Mhm.
I just knew that they were really well organized. But after I had talked to you guys, because it
Yeah,
ultimately came down to you and someone else.
yeah,
Which is after talking to you guys, I just thought you guys had a community. Not to say that Kingdom didn't have community. I wasn't able to see it yet
yeah. I
because it was
mean,
just through like migration Discord.
yeah. I mean, you've at least been in our Discord. You can see like the nonsense that goes on. It's like every day. It's
Yeah,
just it's
I love it.
I would say like, how many people are like pretty active right now? Maybe like 30 or 40. I'm hoping that gets to like 150. You know what I mean? We're like
Yeah,
not
it's
not
always going on.
not just like fighting and like doing kingdom stuff, but I'm saying talking about like people participating in Discord, right? Because that
Yeah, I
literally brings
mean,
it a lot closer. Like you just hang out in voice, like
yeah,
talking about stupid shit. I think that's part of the reason why we also do the voice interview. Because if someone is cool with getting on a voice interview, they're way more likely to hang out in Discord too, right? And it just makes it a lot more fun.
yeah. You got people in voice right now. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
literally every day.
What are they
People
doing?
yeah, there's always.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Sometimes I go in there just like I'm just curious. Like or like sometimes you just see like why is there like 8 people in voice? Like what the hell are they looking at? And then you go in and it's like like they're like looking at something stupid. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. But I do pop
yeah,
in a lot just to see what they're looking at because sometimes it's really interesting. But yeah, right now it's just yeah, Big Ed and Schism are always like in voice together too. I don't know what they're always talking about.
yeah. It's a fun time with them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Farmer and Taki are always there.
yeah. Bacon, Gino,
And
yeah,
BP.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a good time.
yeah.
You should come if you're thinking about it. Not you, but people considering
Oh yeah.
migration.
Yeah. This turned from a mentoring video into a migration video. All right.
Now pay me my $50 you promised me.
All right. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's all I have. Let me stop recording.